by Ibu Nur Fitriana. She's the Instructional Designer at the Directorate for General Early Childhood and Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education and Culture. Ibu Nur, hello Ibu, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the Indonesia Education Forum, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to listening to your presentation. You have about 10-15 minutes for your presentation, so the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rani. Good afternoon. Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Nur Fitriana. You can call me Via. I'm representing Mr. Jumeri, the Director General for Early Childhood, Primary and Secondary Education. And please do apologize for not be able to directly join this meeting himself, since he has to attend another strategic meeting with the Minister of Education. We also send a warm regards for all delegates, participants, and committees who attend our meeting today. And before I'm going to a presentation, we have maybe a video to watching together, because this afternoon maybe also sleepy, maybe, and then so tired. Since this morning, all presentation and all panelists is really excited and then full information, especially for the priority program from Ministry of Education and Culture. And then Ministry of Education and Culture, we have a supported IT facilities for school ranging from elementary to secondary level school to prepare them with technology-based learning for all students. This also prepares school in implementing what we can call the assessment of minimum competency, or AKM, like Mr. Nino said, that which is the will measure the competency of student and also school regarding the literacy and numeracy. We have also provided training for technology adoption for the teacher to optimize these ICT facilities and digital learning resources that can be freely accessible in the website in Ministry of Education, like Ms. Rani, Microsoft, Google. We collaborate with another partnership. Maybe before I'm going for presentation, we can play this the first video. So please watch.
kepada puluhan juta masyarakat yang membutuhkan.
Terima kasih. Beberapa hari ini kami didampingi untuk mendapatkan potensi dan juga tujuan hidup. Terima kasih buat KPI dan Kementerian Pendidikan Indonesia. Datang lagi ya.
You're on mute.
Okay, thank you so much for the next slide. Okay, Indonesia education vision, maybe the Mas Nadim and then Mr. Iwan or maybe Mr. Nino, they said the same things that realizing moving forward Indonesia with a sort of independent and personable truth, the creation of Pelajar Pancasila. We are a critical, creative, independent, faithful, godly to God, and then the character building, work together, and then global diversity for included to Pelajar Pancasila. And then next slide. It's too small for me. Just to read this presentation. And then the first thing in technology, school digitalization, technology literacy, and implementation of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematical, like ICT facilities assistance in a form of a Chromebook for school digitalization for AKM or assessment competency minimum, providing learning sources, technology-based learning media in the form video and digital books. We are partnership with and collaboration with another like NGO or another ministry or CSR. And then the data services and then A services for all form of services and reporting like bantuan operasional sekolah, we reporting not only using a paper for reporting, but now everything is online services or e-layanan. Webinar services to answering issues and the need from school to access technology services related to policy during a pandemic especially, and then how the target all the school all over Indonesia were at in remote area or urban area program sekolah penggerak which will synergize and collaborate for new learning paradigm in 21st century skills, and then program kampus mengajar, the equality of education quality especially at a remote area, especially for a school in primary school which indicated a C accreditation, and then inclusive school services of education, equality services, or non-formal education to fulfill right of education services for all the students. And then the collaboration with all partners be able to realize 6 indicators profile Pelajar Pancasila, and then how the achievement profile Pelajar Pancasila, and then a sekolah penggerak or education transformation. The first, excellence, human resources, and realizing the profile Pelajar Pancasila, realizing a student with attitude, think globally and act locally. Synergize with a local government to encourage them for giving education services that in line with a local potential and local wisdom. And then the inclusive education and anti-bullying, equitable internet access. And then the next slide. We know about Revolution Industry 4.0. We're using technology like Mr. Rani that maybe Microsoft like Kahoot is really interesting, really excited for a student or for teacher because it's really easy. And then in Ministry of Education we having a Rumah Belajar its access is free and digital books and etc. But we know it's not all area in Indonesia is having a connection internet and having the connection of electricity. Is some of them having a blank spot area. So we need a collaboration with another ministry like Kominfo, and then the priority activities. Next slide. Priority activities in Directorate General Early Childhood Education, Primary Education, and Secondary Education for fiscal year 2021. The first provision of educational facilities, ICT and APE, alat permainan edukatif for early childhood. So the first things, support for learning and implementation AKM through ICT assistance, because not all school, especially for primary school, is from this year is the first time using the ICT for national examination or national examination for primary school. So maybe the school is not having ICT tools. They can join with a school in that are having ICT tools, maybe in the same level in primary school or another level in secondary maybe, or senior high school, or maybe in vocational school, because we having a zonation system. Zonation system is not only for new student in the new year of education, but also the sharing all facilities in this zonation. And then the second one, ICT equipment for special education. And then the third one is a provision APE, alat permainan edukatif, especially for early childhood. And then the second one is curriculum and assessment. The first, socialization and coordination implementation national assessment with the local government and all schools for all principal and supervisor, because until now even we always having a socialization coordination with the local government with a webinar or another way, but a school they don't want to move on in a national examination. So they not having implement Merdeka Belajar, the first episode. And then the second one is assistant to in the implementation of the simplified curriculum. And then the third one is drafting of the special education curriculum module, because when during a pandemic, we have a independent module for especially for literacy and numeracy by Pusmenjar. Especially we distribute in the remote area. We collaborate with CSR, Danone, to distribute, and then maybe in the urban area or capital city, they can download this module free with a website in Ministry of Education or in Pusmenjar or in portal Rumah Belajar. And then the fostering learners, strengthening of program extracurriculum and co-curriculum like Bela Negara, Pramuka, deradicalism, spirituality, entrepreneurship, leadership, and then with traditional games, interests and talents through the sports, science, art and culture, talent on academic and literacy. And then improving program, school health program, especially during pandemic, and then preparation for reopening school with a standard health protocol. And then special education, special services, communities, education, and disaster. For the first, we having a program ADEM, and then the second one, assistant for open school operational, like SLB, Sekolah Luar Biasa, and CLC. And then the next one, assistant for literacy and equality, because maybe in remote area, especially, we should improve and engage how the literacy and then equality of education. And then the last one, a disaster emergency response, and then the quality insurance sekolah penggerak dan daerah penggerak, coordination with the local government to create a 2,500 school sekolah penggerak in the primary school, in a secondary school, and a senior high school is totally is 2,1,500 school atau sekolah penggerak. Advocacy local government to follow up the result for national assessment, scorecard school, and then the scorecard district to sustainability, and then to correct to evaluation, and then to make a new program is having a big impact for a student, and then for to engage the quality of education. And then the facilities and supervision, school quality insurance, and then strengthening human resource local UPT like PP2 PAUD or LPMP. And then next slide, distance learning services during a pandemic COVID. The first is digital learning resources, and then the second one, module for independent learning, literacy and numeration, and then ICT devices assistance, credit a quota assistance, and then community learning center in the borders area between Malaysia and Indonesia. So we're talking about the quota assistance, created a quota assistant. So many school and then many teacher, they said also many parents, how we can so this quota is not useful for us because in our area is not internet connection or the electricity connection is plain spot. So we can facilitate for the module for independent learning, literacy and numeracy that curriculum. And then the sixth, we have a partnership. In our partnership is more than a 38 partnership like a Tanoto, Inovasi, Microsoft, Google, and then Ruang Guru, and then so many partnership like a PT Nestle, Danone, and etc. to services of all school to provide a profile pelajar Pancasila and then to preparation reopening schools. So we make sure that all is well prepared to all students, especially in primary school, in early childhood, secondary, and then senior high school in Indonesia, and especially in remote area that there is not having enough bantuan operasional sekolah because having a little students. And then so the next pursue quality and psychosocial services like and then video in remote area. We have services for a psychosocial to make our well-being and then happiness, joyful and meaningful learning to reopening school. And then the campus mengajar. We having this program is a really big impact because in the 2020 we have a kampus mengajar, we have a program kampus mengajar perintis in elementary school, especially in remote area. And then we have also prepared various services, especially during a pandemic, to optimize learning and quality of education, such as provision and distribution independent modules, which are the implementation of curriculum and simplification, and then relaxation of the use of bus funds, bantuan operasional sekolah, providing internet quota assistance for students, as well as assistance from kampus mengajar. This program having more about 50,000 students from Directorate General Higher Education dispatch a student to remote areas, help with learning for 3 months, and then as well as what we call a sekolah penggerak program, and also various webinar that answer need for school, especially during a pandemic. And then we also optimize partnership services. Currently, there are approximately 38 partner who works together, both from ministry, NGO, or CSR, to be able to optimize the quality of education services and create pelajar Pancasila who are creative, innovative, independent through the preparation of face-to-face learning or preparation for reopening school. And then for this transition, we having a project STEM, project-based learning with a STEM education, science, technology, engineering. So we want to all students is bermain sambil belajar. So they feel a joyful and meaningful learning, and then not feeling bored with the learning load that is considering life behind for the 1 year carrying or belajar dari rumah or online distance learning, and then during the pandemic and preparation reopening school. We're also trying to collaborate with the various parts, especially to realize more comprehensive and holistic school digitization program. We are collaborating with Ministry of Communication and Information to identify which area that are still having internet connectivity is blank spot, and then it is hope that the gap infrastructure limitation will no longer occur because we have tried optimally meet this requirement. So we do the best for all students in early childhood, primary, secondary, and senior high school, and then also include for non-formal or inclusion of education. So we're having the second video. Maybe you know that this program about a campus mengajar, all students in higher of education, they teach and they coaching, and then they so are happy to be a volunteer in a primary school, especially in remote areas. So please play and watching this video.
Protokol kesehatan ya kalau dari tatap muka ya. Iya, jangan main-main, jangan nyentuh-nyentuh, cuci tangan, dan jangan pernah lepas maskernya ya, Dede. Ya. Mengenai berbagai macam program, terutama program guru penggerak, ya, dan juga program P3K, ya, mengenai program honorer. Dan ini luar biasa. Saya mulai menyadari setiap kali saya datang. Kemarin saya baru dari Papua, sekarang di sini. Reaksi para guru-guru terhadap program guru penggerak ini seolah-olah ini satu program yang belum pernah mereka rasakan sebelumnya. Perubahan paradigma mereka.
Okay, thank you. We want to make sure the last slide in presentation. We distribute our equipment and digital tools in, especially in primary school and secondary school, to digitization school. And then we also well prepare for reopening schools. It's not only for the health protocol, standard health protocol, but also we make sure that all teachers, they having a strategies to improve their student life skill, and then they want go to back to school, because many students, they don't want to back to school because it's a really boring, and then they're too long for distance learning, and then they don't want to maybe, so writing is only writing, maybe only answer the question, and then with a complicated question maybe. So we having a well prepared for teacher, for supervisor, and then principal, to having a training of trainer for project-based learning using a STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So they know about how to make joyful and meaningful learning for their students. So with a transition, reopening school, so they is more confidence to say hello with the all students, especially in early childhood, maybe in the primary school and secondary school. So the students can be independent learner, and then critical thinking, and then curiosity. They want to go back to school even uh, is difference with shifting, and then it's only maybe five until 10 students in classroom, and then only 2 hours or 3 hours they meet on another student or another teacher. But maybe during a pandemic, maybe students or teachers, they meet in the at home for the door-to-door program. So we make sure that it's not learning loss during a pandemic or during a distance learning. So thank you so much for this presentation, and thank you.